Space is hostile. A planet survives the constant bombardment of solar radiation because it actively resists its own destruction. Strip away the cultural theology surrounding the term Dharma, and what remains is an objective, scale-invariant framework governing structural persistence. At its absolute baseline, Dharma is the localized set of factors deployed by a form of existence to resist collapse. This model represents the interaction. The solid circle is a form of existence, E. The arrows are a continuous challenge vector, C, threatening to break it apart. To survive, E deploys a factor set, F, like our planet's magnetosphere, actively neutralizing the incoming threat. Dharma is the objective physics of maintaining structural integrity against a universe that constantly seeks to pull systems apart. This formula governs the interaction. A system's localized resistance, its factor set, must counteract a challenge vector to uphold its existence. This final variable represents the boundary condition. A system's existence extends exactly as far as its operational perimeter. The deployed factor set generates a resistance matrix. Survival requires the active resistance produced here to mathematically match or exceed the incoming challenge. When the challenge vector overwhelms the deployed resistance, the system reaches a negative delta. At that point, the boundary condition is breached, leading to total structural failure. Tier 1 physical entities, like brick walls or stones, experience failure as a reactive, permanent event. When external force exceeds tensile strength, they fracture into rubble. To survive repeated stress without disintegrating, a system requires a mechanism to remember past impacts and adapt its resistance. This Tier 2 biological cell faces an acute, immediate challenge as a foreign pathogen pierces its outer membrane. Living systems avoid static collapse by utilizing a three-part information feedback loop called the cybernetic interaction triad. The perception engine calculates the precise difference between the system's current safety and its impending structural collapse. That calculation pings the autonomous ledger, a memory medium like DNA, to retrieve historical data on how previous challenges were neutralized. The resistance matrix then deploys the active factor set required to counteract the threat based on the ledger's output. Biological recovery represents the calculated deployment of metabolic factors to repair a breached boundary condition. Complex entities delay their own destruction by continuously querying this internal memory to outmaneuver external threats. These same feedback mechanics govern Tier 4 social structures like families and states. These are non-physical forms of existence, yet they possess rigid operational boundaries. These structures face informational challenge vectors, economic crises, systemic corruption, or a collapse in interpersonal trust. Extreme social actions, like divorce or political revolution, are actually aggressive factor sets deployed by the triad. These aggressive factors are actively deployed to offer extreme resistance against the perceived collapse of a specific, highly localized social existence. Whether a boundary is constructed from atmospheric gases, lipid cell membranes, or social legitimacy, it obeys the exact same mechanical laws of resistance. You operate as a composite locus where multiple tiers of existence intersect at a single point. We define this intersection formally as the composite locus. As a simultaneous biological organism, cognitive mind, and social citizen, you maintain three unique boundary conditions. Each of these forms faces distinct simultaneous challenge vectors: physical pathogens, psychological stressors, and economic demands. The mathematical union of all the specific factor sets required to maintain this composite human existence is called swadharma. Failing to deploy the correct factor set on any of these fronts results in localized collapse, whether it's biological illness or the dissolution of a relationship. Ultimately, human existence requires the continuous, dynamic execution of localized factor sets across a relentless, multi-front war for persistence. We now step back from the localized human locus to address the totality of all existence across the span of time. We begin with a mathematical axiom: the set of all forms of existence has never been and will never be empty. This master matrix catalogs every localized factor set applied to every form of existence, continuously operating across an eternal timeline. In Sanskrit, the word sanatan signifies this eternal, uncreated, and continuous matrix. Consider the marigold bloom. Botanically, this is an inflorescence, a unified macrostructure composed of hundreds of distinct, tightly packed individual florets. The individual floret represents your localized swadharma, while the total inflorescence represents the eternal Sanatan Dharma. The universe inherently possesses an infinite, uncreated matrix of persistence laws that outlives any single localized entity. This structural model reveals a category error in contemporary discourse, the claim that an individual human can follow Sanatan Dharma. A localized constituent cannot execute the universal laws of the entire set. Entities are bound by the mechanics of existence rather than choosing to participate in them. A human claiming to execute the universal matrix is like a single hydrogen atom claiming it executes the entire periodic table. Early human communities observed these survival mechanics, but lacked the cognitive bandwidth to transmit complex set theory across generations. They compressed these mechanics into high-density moral stories and rituals, a heuristic zip file. Over centuries, as threat vectors went dormant, humans lost the ability to unzip the source code and began worshipping the compressed file itself. Sanatan Dharma exists outside the categories of religion, ideology, or lifestyle choice. You instantiate a localized subset. To exist is to actively deploy your specific swadharma to resist collapse and uphold the boundaries of your composite existence across space and time.